They call this place the third ugliest place in all of Japan. Let's discover the Japan that people don't often talk about. This is Kinagawa Onsen Town. A town somewhat forgotten is such a place.
It's a little up north from Tokyo and it's definitely off the beaten path.
It was once a bustling resort town during the 80s, but is now just a shadow of its former self with abandoned buildings and such. I decided to embark on a fantastic journey to appease my curiosity. I wanted to check out the abandoned buildings and try some of the local foods and see what this place was all about. Today, let's go explore this forgotten side of Japan. And maybe, just maybe, it could be a place that is worth visiting. So let's go find out.
So the first day I arrived at Kinagawa Onsen Town, my main objective was 1, check into the hotel. After checking into the hotel, get something to eat. So the first thing I did was got my car, then I went straight to the hotel to go check in. I like the vibe of this small town already. The hotel I stayed at was called Kinagawa Onsen Hotel. When I first got there really wasn't any other cars in the parking lot besides my own. Wow, there was like literally nobody here. Like literally nobody. I get up to the check-in counter, I ring the bell, and I'm ready to check in. What I did notice is that the huge lobby area with a lot of like little trinkets and artifacts and things like that. And from the front area, there's also this beautiful viewing area where you can actually see the river and the mountains, and they're actually quite beautiful. For the place that's considered the third ugliest place in Japan, I was beginning to think that, come on, this place is not so bad. It's actually quite beautiful. I got to my hotel room, opened the door, got inside, threw all my bags, walked around, checked out the room a little bit. It's a huge space. Easily, if you're coming here as a family or you're coming here as a couple, this space is plenty big. For a solo traveler, it's just a huge space. It's actually quite nice. The view from the window was very nice too. Same view as the one down the lobby. Once again, you get a beautiful view of the river, and you can really begin to get hints and ideas of what this place used to be a long time ago before it pretty much fell into the quietness that it is today. I mean, it's a very beautiful place, I think. I don't think it's really that ugly. Well, wait till tomorrow when we get into all the other stuff. After scoping out my room, I went down to check out the public bath. And the neat thing is, this whole area was empty. From the front area, I just kind of sat around and checked it out. It's just quiet. And then going into the onsen bath, there was like nobody. The neat thing is that this is where I get to chill in the evening. I would say overall, the Kinagawa Onsen Hotel is a very chill place to stay. It's not too crowded. There's not a lot of people. Plus, you gotta think I was there on a weekday. So who knows, might have been more busy on the weekend. All I know is that the time I went, it was super quiet, super chill, and I didn't see another soul or another person. I went back to my room, put all my things away, and did a little bit of research on my phone to see where I can go have dinner, and it was time to go look for some food. But before we went to go find some food, I went back down to the music room, picked up that ukulele, and decided to play a little bit of sweet music to get me ready to go find our food. I found 2 places where I wanted to have dinner. And the first place I was thinking of, I wanted to have yakitori. That's just chicken on a stick. And so I hopped in the car, drove over there. I found the restaurant, however, it was closed. Driving a little bit more around the town, I began to realize, wow, there is not a lot of open restaurants or shops in the evening in this town. Actually, in this small town, things are actually pretty dead. I was beginning to worry, will I be able to find a place to eat? I drove around a little bit more, and I think after spending about 15-20 minutes just driving around, I realized ramen is my feel-safe food. So I decided to go to this place where they have ramen, and I was the only person in the restaurant. There was nobody else, just me and the owner. But this little restaurant had a cool little vibe. I mean, it really had that cool small town vibe. So I ordered a bowl of ramen, I ordered some gyoza, and I just kind of like just relaxed and was just kind of trying to figure out how the rest of the evening and the rest of the next day was going to be like. Overall, it was a nice dinner. The ramen filled me up. The gyoza was quite good. It was very much like you would say visiting your auntie's house and having a nice bowl of ramen and gyoza. With dinner done, I thought the best thing to do is just go back to the hotel, get ready for the next day. Got back to my hotel room, grabbed my clothes, went down to the onsen, and sure enough, I was the only person there. And then decided that I would just go and relax in the onsen, kind of reflect on the rest of the day, and then from here, plan the next day tomorrow. So far, day one was pretty chill and pretty quiet. For an ugly little town, I must say, I'm really digging the vibe of this place a lot. So let me tell you a little bit about this place, Kinagawa Onsen Town. So Kinagawa Onsen Town was actually discovered right around the Meiji Restoration in Japan. The Meiji Restoration, that started from right around the 1860s. And during that time, it was more of a playground for the Japanese feudal lords. However, it didn't really become fully developed for tourism and visitors till right around the 1970s. Now, right around the 1970s, that's when they started building up all these different ryokans and these hotels. Kinagawa was not just a destination for families and visitors alike, it was also a place where companies would gather together and to have retreats and to get together and have a good time. Throughout the 1970s and throughout the 1980s, Kinagawa Onsen was a very popular destination. Towards the end of the 80s, Japan's economic bubble burst. So after the bubble burst and throughout the 90s, early 2000s, the whole area just gradually became more and more abandoned. It cost a lot of money to actually demolish and take apart the buildings. Walking up to this area, I had to get my drone up into there and just kind of get a good look at the hotels that line the bank of the river. And you can see that there are several abandoned hotels in this area. It's actually quite a beautiful sight to behold. Kinagawa Onsen is known as Japan's third ugliest place because of the abandoned buildings that line the riverbank. Today it's just a fragment of what it used to be way back in the past. There's some kind of old nostalgic beauty that I feel like still remains. As I'm flying around the buildings, you can look directly into the windows of the hotels. You can see the empty rooms, no people, just quiet, rust, and things falling apart. So where does that leave Kinagawa Onsen today? I wanted to go wander into the town to see what businesses are still up and running. Now, of course, the night before, we didn't find too many things that were open. A lot of shops were closed. We just found that one little ramen shop. But during the day, things seemed to be a little bit more livelier. So I decided to go wander around to go find some yummy food to eat. So let's go get something to eat and explore the food in Kinagawa Onsen Town. I think probably one of the most exciting things about Kinagawa Onsen Town is the food. There's only one convenience store in the main center area of town, and that is the Lawson. And if you were to walk through the Lawson, you can find some pretty good goodies inside there. I was kind of browsing around, checking out some of the souvenir goods, and I would say everything looked quite lovely and quite tasty. Now, after wandering around the Lawson, I built myself an appetite, want to get something to eat. I decided to go have lunch at this little place, Inaniwa Kukai Udon. These are not ordinary udon noodles. They're kind of like more like skinny, flat udon noodles. You know, usually when you have udon noodles, they're a little bit more fat and they're a little bit more chunkier. But these were not fat or chunky at all. They were just kind of like skinny. However, it was very, very tasty and I did enjoy that. After having my bowl of udon, I asked the lady, what is a good place to go have some dessert around here? And I was actually recommended two different places. There was a place that did cake in a bottle and another place that does Nico pudding. So I thought, ooh, pudding is a definite. And the cake I was definitely curious about. So I went to this little place that sold cake. It's called Parfait. And a Parfait, it's a very unassuming, tiny little shop just off the main strip. And then there it was, cake in a little can. And so I ordered me some cake in a can, sat down and enjoyed it. It was very, very lovely, quite tasty, cake in a can. After having my my parfait, I decided to go check out the pudding. The Nikko Pudding, Kinagawa branch, was actually a really good place. I would say it's more like a fancy pudding. I ordered pretty much what was the Nikko special, and actually was quite tasty too. I really enjoy good pudding, and I think what's really lovely about the little bottles of pudding, they actually come in a nice glass jar. You know that when it comes in a glass jar, you are in for a very special treat. So it was just super good. And there are actually some fascinating attractions that you can visit kind of outside of Kinagawa Onsen town area. One of those places I ran into was this trick art museum. I think what caught my eye was when I was driving past it, there was this giant hand holding a paintbrush. So I thought to myself, ooh, I must stop by. So I just kind of pulled into the parking lot and checked it out. The parking lot was completely empty, but very curious place indeed. This would be a great place to go wander and explore. And if you are planning a trip out to Japan and you would like some help in planning a trip to Japan, you can send me a message here at farsidejapan.com. Why not have yourself a personal local guide to show you around Japan? I would be more than glad to connect and talk to you about your trip to Japan. Find me at farsidejapan.com and let's talk about your trip to Japan. You know, Kinagawa Onsen town is not such a bad place to visit. I have a thing for abandoned buildings, and that was, for me, was actually my personal highlight. And kind of get a feel of the history of what this place used to be. But then going through the town and eating the food and talking to some of the locals, I realized that Kinagawa Onsen town still has a lot to offer to this day. And there are a lot of things that you can do in Kinagawa Onsen town. It being the third ugliest place in Japan, it's definitely one of the most fascinating places in Japan. One of the most fascinating places in Japan that you can definitely come and visit. Thank you for watching today's video. I greatly appreciate it. Please hit that like button and do share a comment. I always love to hear from all of you. And if you want to see some more videos about Japan, you can click right over here for more videos about Japan. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and follow me with my little adventures here in Japan. And I'll see you on the next round.